how would I respond? There were a couple of moments where, you're looking at, Will Henry, and you're trying to figure out, is that how a guy would respond to that if that were happening to him? I mean, maybe if he's a guy from New Zealand, it's possible, or a guy from Europe or England or wherever, it's possible. But as an American, I don't know. There were a couple of moments where some things were kind of like, if that happened to me and my wife, if I was a married person in this particular role, it'd be something a little bit different going on than what was portrayed. So I'll leave it at that. As far as the rating goes, IMDb gave it a strong 6.9. Rotten Tomatoes gave it a solid 76, and the audience score was a solid 72. So when you combine all those things, man, I had to give it on the cocktails and cinema rating. I had to give it a hardcore, strong 4 out of 5 remotes. It could have gotten 5 if it had a few more laughs. I mean, I wonder, could they have gotten somebody different than Jermaine Clement to play this role? I mean, who knows? But I mean, I thought that it was funny. I thought it was irreverent. I thought it was subtle. I thought it was nuanced. I thought it was delicate. It was just wonderfully played. It wasn't too preachy or over the top. It just kind of hits you right in the sweet spot of just kind of showing you that sometimes things don't always go well for men. And I think with Clement's wry humor, it definitely made the film that much more special. It has been said that it is always darkest before the dawn. So you have to, believe that things are going to turn around for our buddy, good old Will Henry. I mean, once he figures things out, the sky's the limit. Everything's going to turn around for him. So I couldn't help but think that the perfect drink for this movie, People, Places, Things, is a tequila sunrise. Now, when you make a tequila sunrise, you can use any kind of tequila, but the key thing is its preparation. So when you make it, you need about 1.5 ounces of tequila. You need about 1/2 ounce of grenadine syrup, and you need about 3 ounces of orange juice. Now, where can you get grenadine syrup? You can get it at any grocery store. You kind of go down that aisle where they sell the soft drinks and the sour mixes, and it's usually right next to Rose's lime juice, kind of like in a skinny red bottle. Looks like cough syrup. But, when you add it with tequila or any type of other drink mix, it's absolutely fantastic. So when you prepare the tequila sunrise, what you want to do is you want to pour the tequila and the orange juice first into a glass over ice. Then you want to add in the grenadine, which will eventually sink to the bottom because of the sugar. So you'll have sugar and alcohol towards the bottom of the glass, and toward the top part of the glass, you'll have the orange juice. Now, what makes this a great drink is that you don't want to stir it. Okay, you want to give it that same type of early morning orange, yellowish to orange hue down to red as when the sun is rising does the title Tequila Sunrise. So when you drink this, you want to use a straw. So when you put your straw in, you begin to imbibe, you will find yourself slurping up wonderful sweet grenadine syrup with a touch of orange juice and a lot of tequila. So hopefully by the time you make a couple of these, you'll be feeling as uplifted and positive as good old Will Henry does towards the end of this movie. So let me throw this question out there. And this question is just for the guys. It's just for the guys. I'm just going to throw this out there. If you were sitting at home one day and then you got an anonymous letter from a former lover informing you that you have a son who might be out there looking for you, would you just kind of put everything on hold and then go on a cross-country odyssey to try to find your old ex-girlfriends and see which one of them you may have possibly fathered a child with? Oof, man. I don't know, man. Part of you wants to just kind of sit here and see if it's real. Yeah, other part of you is nervous that one day you could be watching the game and all of a sudden you get a knock at the door and it's your son who you've never met. Or do you try to, solve the mystery? Ah, man. That's the dilemma facing Bill Murray in the movie Broken Flowers. And so, I'm not even going to look. We're just going to go ahead and dive into this thing because it's a simple premise that is just executed perfectly with fantastic acting from a just dizzying array of stars in this movie. So the lead actor, Don Johnston, and that's that's the funny thing about it. It's like a joke for, like the bulk of the movie. Everyone calls him Don Johnson. He's like, no, Johnston with a T. But yeah, you have to see him do it because, Bill Murray is wonderfully deadpan. So I can't do it like him. But anyway, wow. 93 credits, too many hits to his name. I'm not even going to try. What? Ghostbusters, Lost in Translation, Rushmore, Stripes. I first saw him, and I'm going to see how old some of my podcaster listeners are out there. I first saw him in some movie way back called Meatballs, and he was a camp counselor. I don't know how many of you all saw Meatballs, but that's an old one. If you saw Bill Murray in Meatballs, yeah, you're kind of telling your age on that one. So I'll just leave it at that. But I mean, he's been in so many wonderful movies, and he's such a wonderfully gifted actor. So nothing else needs to be said. Julie Delpy popped in this movie, and she plays Sherry. Now, she's a seasoned actress who's got about 64 credits to her name. And what's funny about it is that she's, for somebody who's as accomplished as she is, she's only kind of, featured briefly in this. I mean, this woman has been in the Avengers. She was in the Before series. For those who don't know what the Before series is, it's like Before Sunset, Before Midnight, Before Sunrise. It's a whole bunch of these, Before Dinner, Before Breakfast. I don't know. It's a whole bunch of these Before movies, but she's in all of them. Okay. She was also in 2 Days in Paris, another series, 2 Days in Paris, 2 Days in New York, 2 Days in LA, 2 Days in Miami, but whatever. So she's in this. So it's like, she's relatively accomplished, but she's got a very, very small role. So, it's interesting. Jeffrey Wright is in this movie. 72 credits to his name. He has been in Westworld. I thought he was great in OG, which was a Netflix movie that came out not too long ago. He's in The Hunger Games. He's in Mockingjay. He played Muddy Waters in Cadillac Records. He was in Syriana. But most of us remember, if you really follow, certain actors' careers and you see them on their way up, for a lot of us, he will always be Piplos Hernandez in the movie Shaft, with his Egyptian cotton t-shirt, So let me stop. Sharon Stone is in this. She plays Laura. Oh, man. Again, like Bill Murray. Do I need to even say anything? I mean, Total Recall, The Quick and the Dead, Basic Instinct. She's also in that new TV series called Ratchet, which is out right now. But as far as I'm concerned, man, her best role for me, hands down, was when she was Ginger in Casino. Oh, my goodness. I've gotten into straight up arguments about, what film is more, Sharon Stone. Is it Ginger? Is it Ginger or is it Basic Instinct? I mean, Casino or is it Basic Instinct? Me personally, I think Casino is it because she was just, oh man, I loved her as Ginger. Frances Conroy is in this. She plays Dora, and she's got 102 credits to her name. She's been around since 1979. Some of the notable, and she always seems to kind of play these same like motherly roles. You know what I'm saying? She was in Sleepless in Seattle. She was Mrs. Hepburn in The Aviator. She was Penny Fleck in The Joker. I first noticed her way, way back in the day when she was in when she played the mom on the HBO funeral home series called 6 Feet Under. She's also been in Desperate Housewives, How I Met Your Mother, American Horror Story, Arrested Development, Dead to Me. Again, another wonderfully accomplished actress. Jessica Lange is in this movie, and she plays Carmen, and her career goes all the way back to 1976. She, too, has been in American Horror Story. She played opposite Halle Berry in Losing Isaiah. She was in Crimes of the Heart. She was in Tootsie. She was also in the remake of Cape Fear. And I thought she was great in that. Chloe Sevigny is in this, okay? And she plays an assistant to somebody in this movie, and she's got 80 credits to her name. I first noticed Chloe when she was the secretary known as Jean for Mr. Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. But she also played Melanie in Zodiac. She played Mrs. Shepherd in Queen and Slim. She's also popped up in what is it with American Horror Story? My God, they seem to be getting everybody. She was in the Mindy Project. She was in Portlandia. And early in her career, she had a very, very prominent role on that show called Big Love when she was opposite Bill Paxton's wife, Nicolette. And then last but not least, certainly not least, is Tilda Swinton. Yes, Tilda freaking Swinton is in this. And again, somebody else that just has way too many highlights to list. But I mean, she was in Vanilla Sky. She played Gabriel in Constantine. She was in the Grand Budapest Hotel. She was also in a very weird, creepy film. I don't know how many of you all saw this, but it was called We Need to Talk About Kevin. Oh man, a disturbing and depressing film about a school shooter. Oh man, but she was great. She played this mom who just couldn't reach her kid. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I had to go back and check my history on this, but I think she de-virginized Benjamin Button in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. She was in Snowpiercer. She was in Doctor Strange as the Ancient One, Katie Cox in Burn After Reading, and she won an Oscar as Karen Crowder and Michael Clayton. So wow, this is like a buffet. This is like a wonderful arrangement of some of the most accomplished actors in Hollywood all coming together on a very simple premise, trying to find out if somebody has a son or not. So this is kind of neat. Now, as far as character arcs go, this film is solely focused on Bill Murray's character, and his arc is a complex one. He has pretty much been a selfish, uncaring womanizer all of his life, and then all of a sudden he's told he has a child. And so at first you kind of see him indifferent, but as he begins his journey, you kind of start to see a shift in his demeanor, not from the sense of the curiosity about his child, but it's almost as if each time he visits one of these women, he begins to reflect on what happened. He begins to see the regret and acknowledges the pain that he's caused all these women over the years. And at times you see this kind of hopelessness regarding finding his son. It kind of rises and falls. Like sometimes he's enthusiastic. Other times he's just like, I'm not going to find him. He's gone. But as the film kind of goes on, it's almost kind of like you're watching the air slowly seep out of the balloon of his possibility of even finding his child. But again, that's just kind of the way the movie flows. The dialogue in it is, I'll be honest, the script can't be more than 100 pages. So much of this movie, there are certain scenes you have to really be conscious to get yourself into the visual medium of this, because you're really studying and analyzing people's reactions and their personalities and their emotions, because there's a lot of scenes in here where there's no talking. I mean, it's just Bill Murray sitting in silence in his car, sitting in his living room, sitting outside. You're like, man, it's like, I guess it's designed to convey the life of a lonely man who really has nothing going on right now. He's just kind of out there. Now, as far as the other parts of subtext that's used in this movie, he's in a tight spot when he goes to visit these women, because what's really cool is when you see him go into each scene, you're wondering, okay, how is he really going to ask these women, are you the mother of my child? So it's kind of neat to watch him play this intellectual chess game where he's throwing out these questions to try to get them to bite and possibly say something that could give up a clue, and without him actually revealing his agenda. So what really highlights that tension is that as you're the viewer, you know what he wants to know, but the characters on the screen don't know what he wants to know. So as each of these scenarios develop, you're kind of wondering, is he going to get the answer he wants? Is he going to get the clue that he wants to in order for him to come closer to the conclusion of him finding his own son? Now, as far as what this movie is truly about, for me, this is a Bill versus himself movie. Another one where we have a guy who is literally kind of battling some of the decisions that he's made as a young man and the regret that he feels learning that he possibly has a child. And when you really try to apply some of Blake Snyder's Save the Cat, plot types, I think this one kind of bounces between the Golden Fleece and the Rites of Passage, because we watch Bill Murray go on this journey, and as he's going through it, it kind of really reveals the kind of